This is our first Every Access Facebook Live. Tab, this was your idea. You want to explain why we're doing extra Facebook Lives under the guise of Every Access?
Okay, so I'm trying to remember the whole trajectory, but I think really it started just with our love of podcasts. There's a bunch of people here that are super passionate about podcasts. So Dave and I have learned a lot of what we've learned, which isn't much, but we have learned some things over the last 5 years of running Freefly, and a lot of them have been from podcasts. So I think what happened is you and I were just kicking around the idea of and we're seeing more companies doing original content, and I was just kind of thinking, hey, there's a lot of cool stuff that's happening day to day at Freefly. It'd be cool if we explored doing a podcast. And I just kind of whispered that into the ether one day, and then all of a sudden, magically, I checked in with you a little while later, and you had completely forsaken the things that you were supposed to be working on so that you could start Every Access.
I think that sounds about right.
Is that
well, I had been doing some interviews, and we'd done some posts on our blog that had full interviews.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had been recording the interviews anyway, so I just tried to get a little bit better quality interview and published it as a podcast. So.
And I think kind of the idea behind it is Freefly is really a company that is focused on innovation, and in order to be focused on innovation, you have to find innovative people and convince them to join your team. And so there's a lot of people here that are interested in a lot of different things, from health, performance, to technology, to art, to design, to creative direction, to filming. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So Every Access is really an outlet for us to take a minute to discuss and explore those different trajectories, rather than just hey, this is a movie, here's how you get a shot. Oh, by the way, have you seen this movie? Have you seen this movie? But have you seen this other movie? But did you see this other movie? Did you see the bigger movie? Did you see the smaller movie? But this movie flies. This movie drives on a robot. This movie goes on a stick. So.
Well, the thing that's cool is that it started as let's do a podcast, and then we started saying let's put blog posts on the Every Access website, and now it's our first live video that we're putting up on Facebook. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool to see this idea of exploring things that go beyond the gimbal and the drone into, it's like a lab for experimenting with ideas that inspire Freefly.
Yeah, and I think the things that I'm passionate about have changed since we've started Freefly. In the beginning, all I could think about was getting stable shots, perfectly stable shots from a drone. But then as we started to achieve that, you got to look at what's next and what's new and what really stretches you and makes you grow. And for me, for the last 4 years, it's really been health, because what I would say is, let me see if we're on outline. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on Every Access before we dive in?
No, I think we can move on.
Okay.
Well, except for check out everyaccess.com, subscribe to the podcast, check out the blog post. There's only one right now, but there's a bunch more coming up soon.
Yeah, I just listened to the one with Jeff Scholl this morning, and it's hilarious. That guy is just one in a million. He's just awesome.
And if you subscribe, you'll get that episode later this week. It'll be published live for everyone to hear.
And we have with us, so the group today, Hugh, the stealth liver, is running the camera. We've got Dr. Dave, who will be installing the blood glucose monitor on me.
Hello.
So David comes from a family of doctors. They all went to medical school. He watched a bunch of YouTube. I'm uncertain which one I trust more, but for today it's Dave. And then Brent Nitro is, what are you doing, Nitro?
Monitoring. Posting.
I never thought I'd get to a point in my life where Nitro was the adult supervision in the gang, so this is just exemplary.
It's producer.
We're in good hands.
Okay.
Let's talk about the glucose.
Let's talk about it. So let me set the context, how I arrived to the point where I'm going to inject this weird thing into my arm to get more data about my health. So about 4 years ago, we were building Freefly, and are you allowed to swear on Facebook Live?
Absolutely.
Probably shouldn't. Okay, shit was crazy. When we launched the movie, we were 6 dudes in a garage, and the whole world was like, we need one. And so we had a lot of stuff to figure out, and we worked a lot. And during that period, my health definitely deteriorated until I reached the kind of a culmination when I saw a photo of myself. I don't think it was this particular photo, but I saw a photo of myself, and it didn't match the self-image that I have in my mind at all. And what's your nickname for this guy, Dave?
Oh, Tob?
It's like my fatter alter ego. So I had this Thank you. It's a supportive place we've built here where people are sensitive to other feelings, etc.
What?
Yeah. Not your department.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
So that was the moment for me where I was like, wow, I have really like hyper focused on making Freefly successful at the expense of my personal health and success. And so I would say that really kicked off the last 4 years for me have been trying to understand my own physiology and the things, the inputs and outputs, kind of treating it like a gimbal. Like we spent so long trying to understand gimbal, trying to understand that control loop, trying to understand the inputs and the outputs. You do all these things to get perfect footage, but I didn't, and we eventually got a pretty refined model for how camera movement works, but I felt like in my personal life I didn't have a model for wellness at all that was working. 4 years ago, I really started that journey, and really it started off, kind of transitioning to like a paleo, quasi paleo, depending on what that means to you, style of eating, and then eventually, in the last year, has been transitioning to like a ketogenic diet and kind of exploring and learning from a bunch of people in the industry that are super smart and way know more about this than me. But I think what I have on my side is I've learned from Freefly to run quick experiments, test things, see how they work, collect the data, and move on. And that's why this is interesting. So
and one thing that's really kind of interesting is that you've been kind of this fire starter, and it's spread throughout Freefly. And now everyone's putting butter in their coffee and trying the ketogenic diet and learning about the joy of cheat days and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think we'll do more stuff as a company like that in the future. Kind of kicking around some ideas with Mike Mutzel from High Intensity Health to discuss how we might do some kind of company-wide wellness program where we try and give people access to better data and allow them to, we just want people to have that data so they see the impacts. Because when I was at my worst shape, I definitely just didn't understand what levers to pull to improve, and that can be a pretty helpless feeling when you're not quite sure what to do, like, should I focus on removing gluten or should I focus on, there's all different kinds of options and it's tough to figure out which one is the right one. Let's see. So, blood glucose. So, Dave actually took one of these apart, so we really do understand this.
Let's get Dr. Dave in here.
Dr. Dave.
All right, here we go.
So this is a device. Okay. This is my esteemed colleague, Dr. David Bloomfield.
Hello.
So this is funny. One day I bought this stuff and it came in and I was like, hey, I'm on Slack and I'm like, hey Dave, can you come to my office and inject this thing in my arm that'll tell me my blood glucose? And this is what I love about Dave. Most people will be like, what, are you crazy? No, I'm not going to inject. He's like, yeah, I'll be right over. And 2 minutes later, he popped in my door, grabbed the alcohol swab, started rubbing down my arm, and off we went. But the idea behind this is, kind of my understanding and a lot of smart people's understandings are that the best indications of wellness and potential longevity right now are given by your muscle mass and your average blood glucose. So once I kind of started to understand that a little bit, I wanted to get closer to that data and have an understanding of what my average blood glucose was, because I really didn't. Like, the only thing I'd ever gotten was my fasting glucose levels when you go in and get blood tests at the doctor, but you can't see over time how that's changing. So I think that where I first learned about this was, I think I was listening to a podcast with Peter Attia, which we'll provide a link to his stuff in the show notes, and he was talking about being on a flight, I think, with like a Dexcom executive who was talking about blood glucose monitoring for people with diabetes, and I just started thinking, man, that would be, it's not just a useful tool for diabetics. This is a powerful tool for anybody. And so I've done a couple cycles on this where I've monitored my blood glucose over a 2-week period. So the little sensor goes on your arm, you monitor it for a 2-week period, and I learned a lot of stuff. I mean, there was a lot of things that affected my average blood glucose that I never expected, from sleep to stress to the way various foods interacted with my actual system. So, like right now I'm on like a ketogenic cycling diet where I will, I'll be pretty strict all week, and then Sunday I'll be less strict and kind of do a refueling or a loading session. And so on the Sundays, I would experiment and say, like, if I eat this, what's the reaction? So I did an experiment. I have a donut and I go to diabetic sugar levels, which is real bad, but I can have some ice cream and it doesn't spike my glucose significantly. So you learn things like that, and you get the data so that you understand the true cost of the decisions you're making when it comes to health. And it's pretty awesome to be able to see that stuff, because you can make better decisions that aren't necessarily any worse for your wellness or, you know, your fun. Like I like ice cream. If I'm going to have a cheat meal, I like ice cream just as much as I like a donut. And it's nice to know the cost of those two things. So let's see how this system works. There's this little sensor here. It uses near field communication. There's a little chip which we'll install in a second. It goes right on your arm. This little needle pokes into your skin, and then it leaves kind of like a little flexible PCB type thing in your interstitial fluid. It's flexible, so you don't really feel it once it's installed or anything. The needle going in I thought would hurt, but didn't. Maybe Dr. Dave just has magic hands and really killed it on the first couple installations.
It's really fast, so
yeah,
it's not like the needle sits in there or anything.
Yeah, it's spring loaded, shoots in, thing stays in there, and then you're good to go. Totally painless from my perspective. I made the mistake of actually like kind of dissecting it and looking at it the first time before we did it. And I saw the needle, I was like, oh, geez, I don't want that thing in my arm, but I was committed. So I think, yeah. Can you show did you show the photo? Did you show the photo?
Yeah.
You did?
Which one?
The giant one? Did you show the photo of me 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that was earlier. Yeah,
Okay,
I can show it again.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I was just running through the timeline. I couldn't remember. I think the other thing, there's a cool article Time did on people using blood glucose monitoring real time that aren't diabetic. And so there's a link to that in the Facebook feed as well if you want to read that. It's pretty interesting. So I think at this point we should install it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dr. Dave?
All right.
So we'll go left arm, I think.
Left arm? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few little things in here. There's a little swabby alcohol wipey to clean his arm
He
off.
throws that over
Just
his
throw
shoulder.
that away. We don't need that.
Licks it.
Then there's there's like this application tool. And then there's this guy, which is the sensor. So,
Looks like a K-cup.
yeah, it actually looks exactly like that. So you're supposed to,
It only goes in one way.
it only goes in one way. I believe you're supposed to line the, and then that's it. It's like inserted.
So it's spring loaded and ready to go now.
Yeah, you just line up these two lines here. You push it in, it's ready to go.
Yep.
So we'll leave that here, and then we need to clean off the spot on Tab's arm.
And so I think Nitro will be done with this in a couple minutes. So if you want to give Alex like a 3-minute warning.
All right, just let me know.
Do you have any questions?
Someone is asking about the best rig for Movi gimbals, but that's off topic, so we'll maybe approach that
Best
later.
like a support system?
Yeah, Ready Rig.
Ready Rig. Yeah. Ready Rig for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So let me pull this guy up.
I don't know if you've ever.
Michael Sutton
Just-
is taking a break to watch this from his commercial shoot.
Thanks, Mike.
So
So yeah, you just like where we did it before was
Okay,
great.
right here. Somewhere around.
I think it was maybe in a little bit
little
more
more,
that way,
like
so
right
it
here.
wouldn't get knocked
Alright.
off. Yeah.
All right, so just clean off the spot. It's also, there's adhesive on this part, so it stays on, and it stays on like when you take a shower and everything, so
Yeah.
the part of the cleaning is for that as well. So, and then you just put the little blue part on there, and then just push, and that's literally it. It's super like easy to use.
So I didn't really feel anything. I feel like a little, it's not pain, but there's like a little weird tingling in my arm right now, but definitely not bad. Like much less painful than a shot or getting blood drawn or any of that kind of thing. So now,
I think it hurt me more.
It hurt you more?
Yeah.
So now at this point, this sensor, so I'll start a new sensor, click that, put it up here. So the sensor's booting up, it'll be ready in 60 minutes. And then at that point, anytime I want to look at my blood glucose, I just scan this thing and I'll get a running graph for the last, I think 8 to 10, I think it's 8 hours or 10 hours, maybe even 12 hours. It's got a little chip in there it stores data on, and it saves the last 10, 12 hours for me, and I can look at my blood glucose over time.
And it's really easy. Like I would not be, the process is super super simple. So-
Yeah, definitely. When I first started investigating this, it seemed like a little bit daunting. But after I did it the first time, I was like, this was dead simple. And kind of our thesis will be that this or something like this, like I'm sure Apple's working on something like this, I'm sure Google's also working on something like this, but a completely non-invasive way to give people real-time access to critical pieces of health information is going to change the way that people approach wellness, I think. Because part of the problem for me for so long was you never knew how you were doing. You know, it was kind of like when you're trying to get in better shape, you jump on the scale, but your weight would fluctuate around, but hey, I've been eating super healthy lately. Why am I not getting, why is this not happening? I cut out all the gluten. Why is that not making a difference? Things like that. So getting some actual data to really close the loop. I think we're kind of in the era where data is going to reconcile a lot of the difficulty with improving your wellness. So it's super exciting for me when I was able to get one. I was really excited.
So Tab, you don't have diabetes, but Adam Brennan is mentioning that he wants to monitor his sugar, and he's asking if he needs a prescription.
Yeah, I think you are supposed to get a prescription to get this right now in the U.S. So I have a friend who said that you could find devices such as this on places like eBay and things like that, but I can neither confirm nor deny the availability of these devices on places like eBay.
Fair enough.
Any other questions?
I'll keep you posted as they...
Okay. All right, so jumping in for 5 minutes on the topic of kind of wellness and performance, we have Director of Product Development, Alex Chilman. So I just wanted to get another perspective on this because I think, one of the reasons I've been more interested in performance and specifically like lifting weights and trying to get adding muscle is because watching him run away from the pack is, it's exciting and also embarrassing. So, so Alex is pretty heavy into CrossFit and running and, super healthy, has a super healthy little family that's, puts other families to shame. So, I'd be kind of curious just to hear. The other thing I would say is Alex has been performing at a high level, both kind of personally in the physical way and professionally for a decade now. So I'd just be curious to hear your thoughts on how those two things go together, and when have you found that it's worked best for you?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great and very loaded question. So, for me, I've really found that I'm at my best when I'm at a point where I have clarity of mind, where I can think, where I have strong cognitive capability. And, for me, that's when my diet's dialed, when I'm making time for myself, for my workouts. That's always really been my escape. One thing that's true about everybody's professional career is a lot of stress gets carried with it. A lot of stress gets created day in and day out. And typically the faster you try to move, the more stress comes along with it. So, for me, my runs, CrossFitting, things like that, it's been my escape. It's my time that I go disconnect with the madness around me and really just let my mind go blank, let somebody else coach me through a workout. And what I find is as I'm coming out of that and I'm reconnecting with, the quote unquote day job,
How dare you?
I'm in an entirely different place. One of the things about Freefly, and I'm sure Tab's already touched on this, is that balance is a very important thing. It's something we talked about when I was first kind of
when Alex was recruiting himself into the business,
trying to get myself in the door here, and Tab delivered a really sound message on the importance of balance, the importance of health, the importance of fitness, performance, working out. And, I figured if Freefly lived up to half of what I heard, it was going to be in a really good place. It's greatly surpassed it though. Coming in here and, the value that is put on health, on performance, it's above and beyond what I've seen in past companies, in companies I've networked with. And, it's unbelievable. I remember a time where a meeting got scheduled that stomped on top of a CrossFit workout I had planned, And Tab was like, well, that meeting's important, but it's not that important. Let's shift it a half an hour, go get your workout in, get back here, and we'll get to it. And, you know, for me, stepping back, knowing that I have a young family, sometimes my evenings are a little bit chaotic, a little bit tough to have scheduled, you know, things like that mean a lot. And things like that show how a company cares about the employees, the team members, the people that work there.
Yeah, and I don't think those things aren't out of alignment with our goal of really kicking ass here at Freefly, because, you know, it's not like we're shoveling salt out of a salt mine where it's a thing where you need to just put in an inordinate amount of time. The metric at Freefly is kind of, it's innovation per person. And innovation doesn't come from just sitting in a chair for 14 hours a day. Innovation comes from, you know, oftentimes it comes from doing something different, getting a new perspective, seeing a problem from a slightly different perspective, going out into a stressful environment, like on a film set or something that really pushes you to think about things in a different way, seeing things that are inefficient or suboptimal in the world. So I think, yeah, that's why I love this business model, is because it's not, we're not paving a road, we're not shoveling gravel. The only thing that we really have to do exquisitely is innovate. And so there's a lot of flexibility to build a company that is aligned with, you know, personal success is aligned with company success when you do have that. So I think that's good. And it's also been, it's fun. It's been fun to have you here and watch you like kick ass at CrossFit, because it inspires everybody else to do better, you know. When he comes in like absolutely drenched in sweat at 105 after being in the, oh, and the other thing is, the reason we had to shift time on this today is because Hugh is going to his very first day of CrossFit today. So he is going to be over there with Alex, just crushing it at the noon class. So he was worried that he might be too devastated after CrossFit to camera up. So that's why we had to shift it around. So thanks everybody for adjusting the time. Anything else we want to touch on? I thought you did a great job.
No,
Okay.
I think that's kind of at the core of it for me.
Shout out to the family.
Shout out to the family, the wife who keeps my healthy diet clicking. So
Absolutely. No more cinnamon bears.
no more cinnamon bears.
He's got a problem.
No, take that back. No, take the stickers and leave
No. Yeah, I think you're good.
Cool.
Thanks,
cool.
dude.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Oh, and these chairs I stole from Chase Jarvis when he did his big sale at the studio. So shout out to Chase Jarvis. Thanks a lot. So I think I just want to touch on the places where I'm getting a lot of my information these days, and I've listened to a ton and researched a lot of things over the past couple of years. But my go-to things that I'm super excited when a new podcast comes out. I love High Intensity Health with Mike Mutzel. Mike is local, and we've become friends, and I love the perspective that he brings to his podcast, and he doesn't have any particular angle. He's just exploring things, which is really fun. It's kind of like the most fun times at Freefly is when we're exploring new things without a particular slant.
And we're going to have him on the show too, on the podcast. We'll do a podcast with him.
Yeah, he said he would, but I don't know. I hope so. Mike, you've been called out. You know you're on. Maybe you and Dr. Dave can break down the different things that you've learned, like in functional medicine versus his training. STEM Talk, absolutely love STEM Talk. It's so good. It's like so unbiased and such good information, and they just have like the cream of the crop as far as guests on there, and there's so much good information on fasting, ketogenic diet, the right way to work out for, you know, minimal effective dose, muscle adaptation, all that kind of interesting stuff. Dr. Bub's performance podcast, awesome. Like, you know, right up there with all of them. Really good guy, really impartial, really good at relaying the context and the goals surrounding what he's doing. He works with, I think Canadian basketball teams, which is near and dear to your heart, Hugh. Maybe after you join CrossFit, you'll take up pro ball again. Rob Wolf, Paleo Solution. He's a huge guy in the paleo world. Lots of good information. He's also kind of a fearless experimenter too, which is fun. And then Peter Attia. Peter Attia is probably the most data-driven guy. Well, I don't know if I should say that, but Peter does a really good job of distilling down a bunch of data into something actionable. Like you can spend an hour on a podcast with him and really walk away like, wow, he just nailed the key things for me to take a look at to improve my performance. So, any questions?
Well, yeah, so we do have some questions, but I just want to say that links to all these podcasts will be posted on everyaccess.com. Shortly after this, we'll post the video there for people to rewatch. Those who didn't get the memo and want to watch it still can watch it one. And then we'll have the links there, and they're also being pasted into the comments. One question that came earlier from Adam Brennan was, how long does this glucose monitor last?
2 weeks.
So that's through the shower, that's through everything. It stays on for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I've got it on 2 weeks, showering, going in the hot tub, going in the sauna, going in the lake, working out, wrestling with Nitro, going for walks with Dave, just living life, and it stays on. Mike Mutzel did say that he had one of them come off, but he's a real rowdy guy, so I don't know what he's doing. Probably a farming accident or something. One thing I didn't say is the context for me in all this is what I really wanted to do is I'd have these days at Freefly where I had great mental clarity and was super productive, had good emotional resilience to deal with stressful situations and stuff like that, and I could never figure out why I had those days. And so that's kind of why this experimentation started. And one thing I've noticed switching to kind of a paleo and then a ketogenic diet, and Dave has commented on it one of our walks as well, is just an increased emotional resiliency. Because one of the things when you start a business is you just get your ass kicked emotionally. You have these small successes that then get totally crushed and wiped away, and you really have to be able to bounce back from those. And the diet and wellness and performance aspect of life really lays a strong foundation for you to bounce back without, feeling like, okay, well, I'm just going to give up and I'll probably go work at Starbucks now. So that's been one of the things I've really enjoyed from kind of dialing in my wellness program.
Well, in that term, dialed, I think if I was to distill what Freefly is about, dialed really nails it. And not just in the things we're talking about today, but when we were at NAB, a lot of the feedback was that these products are dialed. And so it's been great to work under you, who you're constantly dialing and refining you as a person, us as a company, the products themselves, and that's just seems to be a really central theme throughout everything that's in Freefly. And Alex kind of touched on that too.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of people that love that too. And in the beginning, we really focused just on dialing products because that's all we could handle. But then as you grow, you get time and bandwidth to focus on dialing the company. And you've been here and watched, but we've definitely had a 2-year focus on dialing the company for sure. From the way we work together, the way we communicate, the way we launch products. There's been a big emphasis not just on new products, but also on refining the way that we do business and interact with each other internally. So that's all there is in life is dialing. That's all there is.
Random final question for you. What do you think is the equivalent of the blood glucose monitor for Freefly systems? What do we do to monitor Freefly and keep us dialed?
I would say our blood glucose monitor is people are monitoring kind of real-time customer feedback via social channels constantly from, it's kind of one of my guilty pleasures each day is to go read through Instagram and see this person's happy, this person wants this feature added to Alta, that's a good idea. How do we prioritize that and put it on the roadmap? This person is upset that this particular camera configuration didn't work. That's something that we should address. So I think that's kind of our feedback loop. The cool thing with social media is you get real-time response from people, and you can tell exactly how excited or not excited people are. And I think that's, as we've evolved as a business too, we've been lucky enough to have some successes that have kind of taken the immediate pressure off. When you first start a business, you're like, I got to ship product, I got to pay bills, this is a disaster, I got to go. But then as you grow, if you're fortunate, you can step back, slow down, and make decisions that really align. I would say our decision-making process right now is we go towards whatever path is more exciting. And I think that's reflected in our products. So it's nice to have the ability to step back, slow down, and kind of analyze. Is this decision a good one in the 5-year time scale? So
yeah, cool. Well, I guess with that, we can end. Be sure to check out everyaccess.com, subscribe to the podcast, rewatch the video that we're recording right now as many times as you'd like.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. If you want to send an email to everyaccess@freeflysystems.com if you have more questions or ideas for things you'd like us to dig into and experiment with more, send us an email.
Yeah, and I was thinking for the next 2 weeks on this one, I'll keep the data and post it somewhere.
Nice.
I'll figure out a way to post it so people can watch what I'm eating, what I'm doing, how I'm living, and you can see the real-time effects on my blood glucose. Might be interesting for some people to kind of understand.
We'll just keep updating the post on our website that features this video, so
Great.
it's there.
I think, and the other thing I'd like to say is just a huge thanks for the people that take the time out to do the podcast and do blog posts and write-ups that distill down this just monstrous amount of information that's so hard to, as a non-medical professional like Dr. Dave, to actually understand this stuff and synthesize it. It's like the control loop of the human body is so damn complex that it's really great that people like Mike and Peter and Dr. Bubbs and these people are taking the time to distill these like hyper complex issues into little actionable things that you can integrate in your life. Yeah, and I'd say for people out there that are starting this journey, just get after it, don't give up. And you know, there's lots of great information out there, lots of people willing to help. Come work at Freefly.
Come work at Freefly.
You'll get better.
All right. Cut.
Cut.
End it.
End it. Oh, that's how he ends.
Just puts it on the floor. Lands on the floor. That's awesome.